I'm so familiar with drilling of a well that it seems commonplace to me, but I'm told that not many people understand that the first thing that we do when we are drilling a well, we drill through the water table and set cement casing in from the surface to well beyond the bottom of the fresh water table. That's the first thing we do. That's the first, and when whatever happens to that well, if it produces, that pipe all stays there. When it's plugged, or if it doesn't produce, that pipe stays there, and it's cemented, the inside of the pipe is cemented to the surface. We do everything we can possibly think of, and are researching it all the time, to keep the water, you know, we got to drink that water too. We got kids and grandkids.
Isn't it also the case though, but when you're drilling down, if you break, as you're drilling, you can crack the bedrock, and that can disturb an aquifer that's sitting on a plane, a perched water aquifer. And if you crack it, the water in at that elevation will change elevation. It'll go down. You may not be able to reach it anymore, right?
I use as an example the Ogallala in West Texas, Panhandle, the largest water aquifer in the United States. There have been literally thousands and thousands of wells drilled in the Ogallala, not one complaint. The farmers are pumping the water down, the water levels down, but there are no complaints that I know of.
Well, let me give another good example. In Tennessee, especially in Davidson County right here, when they want to install a sewer line, the sewer line isn't going to go like that. The sewer line has to basically run straight. The streams do this. So when they lay the sewer line, they have to cross the stream, sometimes 5, 6, 7 times to get it from to get the sewer line from point A to point B. So what they do is they dig up where the stream crosses, they blast it out, they dam the stream up, they pump the water around, dig, blast, lay the pipe in a gravel bed. We all know what a French drain is. You know, when you have flooding at your home, they say, oh, put in a French drain to drain the water away. Well, they put the new sewer lines or the water lines in a gravel envelope. And 9 times out of 10, when you backfill it, even if they put the check dams in, which is standard engineering, the creek is gone. Why? Because when they blast and crack and dig into that stream bed, they have blasted all the bedrock around there, and the groundwater that's coming into the stream at all the different levels has now reached fractured points where it then disappears and goes another direction. So there's a long list of these. I've had 2 cases on that subject, exactly the same. One's pending in federal court right now. It's Overall Creek, right off of Old Charlotte Pike. And you know the water's there because this utility company came in to drain the water off the underground trench line. So you can stand there and watch the water pour out. I think we generally calculated somewhere at 100,000 gallons a day. The creek bed, bone dry, all the groundwater in that area dropping out of the stream up ahead of the crossings, following this underground trench right under Gower Road. So not only can you no longer get to the water, but it's underground surrounding the sewer line. That's how sensitive the first 20 feet is. And they're talking about drilling 100 feet, 200 feet down. Our geology is very different from most states. Our water supply is at all these different levels. So as they're going in and cracking and fracking and drilling, the basic drilling principles that have been described here may work well in some places. My opinion is that in Tennessee, they're in for a whole lot of trouble. And we are in for a whole lot of trouble because of our geology and where our water's located.
I don't know much about sewer lines, but I do know the water runs downhill, and if you put your surface casing well below, which we do, well below the fresh water levels, it should be all right. Hasn't failed.
My name is Steve Takashima. What kind of impressed me is looking at those diagrams of where the wells were, that there were so very many wells that were producing gas. And the question I've got, and I wonder if anybody here has got answers for this, is that per BTU of heat produced by these wells, a lot of other methods, you have to basically, if you don't have this, you have to do something else. Like if you don't have gas, you have to use coal or petroleum products in the United States that are, made here or mined here or whatever. And my question is, I don't know what the percentage of problems are per BTU issued from this well, from gas drilling versus any of the others. I mean, it may be a lesser of evils is the way I'm looking at it. And I'd like to know if anybody here has any way to quantify, I guess, whether the impact of coal mining, strip mining, gas well, or just petroleum wells, the major sources of energy that we do have, what is the impact, the environmental and human impact of gas drilling and fracking versus coal mining, strip mining, drilling for gasoline or petroleum products?
I mean, I don't have specific numbers to spurt out to you right now, but I think based on what's already been said, I mean, we're talking about natural resources. We're talking about oil, coal, gas, water, and only one of those is a natural resource that we absolutely can't live without. So for me, any process that threatens that natural resource, which is water, is not an acceptable one.
I understand what you're saying.
Right, and I know the lesser
given that
evils.
We've got different ways to get the energy.
Right.
What is the impact of gas drilling, fracking versus? I know coal mining does, huge amounts of disaster to the environment. And then I'm also thinking of like the recent forest fires that were out there. That has done a huge amount of damage to the environment. I want to know what the relative scale is of these different methods of producing energy are versus fracking. If fracking's lower, I guess I'm in favor of fracking, to be quite truthful.
I have only one thought to add on that. First of all, actual coal use is actually down. I read 2 articles that said it was down. And one of the reasons...
the cost of getting rid of all the, they want certain things to be cleaned up, and that cost is very high.
Actually, the main cost right now, the main reason that the coal burning is down is because natural gas is cheap. That's been the big thing.
That's the good, that's the
first big point. So I read an article about that last fall, and I just actually pulled it out recently to go back over it and make sure I kind of had that right. But so the first thing was, okay, natural gas is cheap, let's do that. And so that actually caused the good old-fashioned competition. So coal was, on the downside.
Right. Then
they were looking at the possibility that these utility MACT rules might come into play, which they put off for 10 years successfully. And they want to keep spewing as much mercury and all acid gases. They don't want to clean up their stacks. They don't want to spend the money. They want us to inhale it for them. So I actually wrote an editorial about that in the paper 2 weeks ago. So that's one issue that we do know for sure, is that they're using more natural gas just because it's cheaper. And I think we're seeing, what we're kind of talking about now is it really cheaper? Is it just cheap right now? Because when you get to the actual cost, they're just deferring it. It's like deferring your tax liability. It's coming. It's just not today.
Okay, well, given that, you're saying, you understand what you're saying. Which is worse for us? Is it worse to burn coal, or is it worse to, burn natural gas?
If I understand your question, here's the short answer. That's a false choice.